Mangwanani Malelepo Vukenjani Krekwasvanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You are joined by Ashwin Berry and Glenn Orashipura. How are you, Glenn?
I'm doing good, very well, Ashwin. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm fantastic.
And you look dapper.
Thank you very much. We are welcoming the winter in style.
In style, we have to. Taking a look at what you can expect in today's broadcast, West Health MEC must pay 17 million rand to a Zimbabwean woman after her child developed cerebral palsy. Mali court jails professor for criticizing government, and Greek court throws out shipwreck trial against 9 men. We'll also be speaking to Arrie Hougaard, who will be filling us in on the latest news in South Africa. We'll be right back with your top stories.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
We start our top stories in South Africa, where West Health MEC will have to fork out 17.2 million rand to a Zimbabwean woman for her 10-year-old child's future medical expenses. The mother filed a claim for damages against West Health MEC after hospital staff were found to be negligent during her child's birth in 2013. This led to the child developing cerebral palsy. In 2021, the West High Court in Mafikeng ruled that the Health MEC was liable to pay the mother's proven damages. However, the amount was not determined by Judge Andre Peterson at the time. The mother's claim was in respect to general damages, loss of income, future hospital and medical expenses, as well as expenses related to establishing and overseeing a trust for her child. The case went back to the High Court for calculation before Judge Sandiswa Mfenyana, with the judgment being served in October 2023. Mfenyana has now determined the amount owed to the mother for her child's future medical costs and the setting up of the trust. Now, during the trial proceedings, the court heard of a disagreement over the sum designated for medical expenses, despite settling the establishment of a trust. Initially, a figure of 18.8 million rand had been mutually accepted by the mother and the West Health MEC. However, the MEC petitioned the High Court for a slightly reduced amount to be disbursed, citing the mother's Zimbabwean citizenship as a factor. The MEC's lawyers had argued in court that the plaintiff could return to Zimbabwe at any time. In her ruling, Mfenyana rejected the MEC's request to give the mother a higher contingency for medical expenses because of the plaintiff's non-citizen status, which excludes her from owning land in the country. The judge explained the Bill of Rights with the Constitution guaranteed equal protection of the law to everyone, regardless of their nationality.
Still in South Africa, following the temporary closure of the Ramatlaba-Bama border post this morning, the Botswana Unified Revenue Service has revealed that the border is now open for business as a strike in South Africa has been contained. Earlier this morning, BERS released a statement informing the public to refrain from using the Ramatlaba-Bama border post. The public is informed that the Ramatlaba-Bama border post is temporarily closed from May the 21st, 2024 until further notice. This is due to an ongoing strike by the South African National Truckers, BERS reported. BERS also further highlighted that the border was closed because roads leading to the border were inaccessible due to the strike in South Africa this morning. However, in an interview with Megi Online, BERS spokesperson Bale Bolele revealed that the situation has now been contained in South Africa and it is business as usual.
Now in Zimbabwe, ZANU-PF National Political Commissar Mike Bima has been demoted by President Emmerson Mnangagwa in a reshuffle of the ruling party's Politburo. Bima is now an ordinary Politburo member of the ruling party. Munyana Dzimachacha, the former principal of the Chitepo School of Ideology, replaces Bima as the ZANU-PF Secretary for Commissariat. Comrade Dr. MC Bima, who was the party's secretary for commissariat, remains a Politburo member. The ZANU-PF Politburo is the highest decision-making body outside of the party Congress and plays a crucial role in shaping the party's policies and direction. A statement by the party's Secretary General Obet Mpofu reads, "The roles of Jacob Mudenda and Patrick Chinamasa were swapped. Mudenda is now Treasurer General and Chinamasa is Secretary for Legal Affairs."
In our next story, a court in Mali has sentenced economist Etienne Fakaba Sissoko to 2 years in prison with 1 year suspended for criticizing the military junta in his book. Sissoko's lawyer Ibrahim Marhov Sako announced the verdict and plans to appeal. Sissoko, a professor at the University of Bamako, faced charges of harming the state's reputation, defamation, and spreading misinformation for his 2023 book on government communication during Mali's transition. According to reports, the book critically examines the military's government use of what it terms propaganda, manipulation, and even lies to influence public opinion, particularly during the promised transition period leading back to civilian rule. The junta missed their initial deadline of March 2024 for a return to democracy with no new date set. Subsequently, at the May 6 hearing, Sissoko defended his work, stating his use of factual evidence and expert analysis. This isn't his first run-in with the authorities. In 2022, Sissoko, formerly an advisor to the ousted president, spent months in jail for criticizing the government's stance on Christmas celebrations and questioning the validity of his academic credentials.
Now, a court in Greece has abandoned the trial of 9 Egyptian men accused of causing the biggest migrant shipwreck in the Mediterranean Sea for a decade. The judges in the southern port city of Kalamata ruled they did not have jurisdiction to hear the case on the grounds of the vessel sank in international waters. It is feared more than 600 people drowned last June when an overcrowded fishing boat, the Adriana, sank on its way to Europe from Libya. The accused had faced life in prison if convicted of people smuggling and causing the sinking of the boat. There were cheers among protesters outside the court as the judge's decision to drop the case became clear. Those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. After the break, we talk to Arrie Hougaard as the South African election comes close.
Introducing 061 Express, brought to you by Synergy in proud partnership with Windhoek Express. Here's your chance to make your voice heard to celebrate the businesses that make Windhoek exceptional. From your favorite coffee spot to the salon that always gets your style just right. It's time to shine a spotlight on the gems of our city. Over the next 8 weeks, it's your chance to vote for your favorites to recognize the best of the best. Nominations open on the 25th of April and close on the 5th of May. To nominate your favorite business, simply save this number, 085-785-6231, and WhatsApp hashtag 061Express or scan the QR code below and follow the on-screen instructions. By nominating your favorites, you're not only supporting local businesses, but you also stand a chance to win your share of 50,000 Namibian dollars in cash. The voting process will be the same as the nominations process, using the Synergy chatbot and the hashtag 061Express. Voting opens on June 5th and closes on June 23rd. Make sure to cast your votes for the best of the best. The winners will be announced on June 28th. 061Express, celebrating the heartbeat of Windhoek. Get ready to make your mark.
All right, it's time for us to talk to Arrie Hougaard in South Africa. Good morning, Arrie.
Very good morning, Ashwin. Good morning, everyone. Nice to talk to you.
Great to talk to you. So the elections are near 29th of May. South Africans cast their vote. And one thing to consider is that they won't be able to cast their vote specifically for Jacob Zuma to be a member of parliament because the Constitutional Court has said that he cannot run. I believe we have more news surrounding the election, Arrie.
Yes, a lot to talk about. It's in a week's time, and it's all systems go. So hopefully it will be a free and fair election. That's what we all hope for. Trends are picking up on radio adverts just for interest sake. So there are lots of ads on radio, and it's a lot about service provision, service providing. And so obviously that is something that all the political parties has identified that's probably not in place, and areas where voters can swing. That's a photo of a former President Jacob Zuma. As you mentioned there, Ashwin, it's the Constitutional Court did rule that he's ineligible and unqualified, quote unquote. That was the ruling to stand. That is to stand as a member of Parliament in the election. So his face will still be on the ballots because that's already been printed, so it will still be there. And the MK party said that he need not be president, he need not be in that role. He will be the leader in the process as well. So that's a big development at the moment. MK will be key in the elections. Just briefly, in KwaZulu-Natal will be very key in the elections. They've got 5.7 million voters in KwaZulu-Natal. That's about of the 28 million registered voters all over the country. In 2019, the previous elections, the ANC got 54% of that vote in KwaZulu-Natal, and the DA 14%. So there's a changes expected there. That is the Patriotic Alliance, one of their gatherings. You can see it's quite full, lots of people there. That's a concern for the DA in the Cape. The DA trying to get 50% again, but it seems like the Gayton McKenzie and the PA getting lots of support in rural areas in the Western Cape and also in the city. So that will also be a big influence. Just the voter balance, ages between 20 and 29, there's about 4.4 million people that will vote next week. The biggest component is between the ages of 30 and 39, 6.8 million people that's registered to vote. And then when you're 40 and 49 years old, there's 4.5 million people there. So the youth need to decide where we're going in this election, but it's all systems go. So we'll see how it plays out to next week, Wednesday.
And you'll keep us posted on the developments in the elections. Now, moving on, the South African presidency has welcomed the arrest warrants issued for Hamas and Israel.
Yes, South Africa has been a strong voice in that, probably the one country in the world that took it up and challenged what's happening there. There's been lots of criticism from the West, obviously. There's been lots of support from other areas. And so it was President Ramaphosa there on the photo that said that he supports the ICC, the International Criminal Court, the ruling that was made for 3 Hamas leaders and 2 Israeli ministers. Well, one is the President Benjamin Netanyahu, warrant of arrest for them for crime against humanity and war crimes. So that's quite a big statement. That is the prosecutor Karim Khan there in the blue suit there. So he made the ruling, and so they're quite serious. And it's nice to see that it's on both sides. They said, well, there was the Hamas leaders. They specifically, the warrant is related to 7 October last year when they went across the border and all those things that happened. And then obviously the challenge is that Israel went beyond what's reasonable in their retaliation. So there's lots of things, but South Africa stands for that. France said yes, they also supported. The USA said they'd reject it. So that will probably be the case. So that is what happened.
And speaking of that gentleman in the screen on his interview on CNN with Amon Poor, he revealed that one of the international leaders called him and said that the ICC is just for Africans and monsters like Putin. That is actually on record, Arrie. So an interesting narrative developing with regards to how the West actually views the ICC as opposed to the rest of the world and Africa indeed. Now, Time Bank has now made cash withdrawals available to its customers at 172,000 spaza shops across South Africa.
Yes, and it's internet banking, and it's accessible to, they call it the unbanked people, the people that's really not in a big bank as we probably know it, and undeserved South Africans, also the quote. But that is Patrice Motsepe, probably one of the key people in business in South Africa. He's the CEO of or the manager of African Rainbow Capital. So they're the big force behind Time Bank as well. But what happened is now there's 172,000 spaza shops all over the country, so it's accessible for people to go to spaza shops. Those are the ATMs, so those are accessible as well. But spaza shops are more accessible now, and how it works with, they partnered with a company called Flash. So you just generate a voucher via a WhatsApp, via a mobile text. And so with that text, you can go to the spaza shop and you can get your money just at the flat rate of R7 cost to the bank. So it's accessible now to draw money at the spaza shops. 172,000 of them. So it will be probably good for business as well.
Well, again. Now, in the last of your stories, Arrie, South Africa did well again at the International Chelsea Flower Show with a gold medal.
We all need some flowers around us. Flowers make us happy, and it's nature's way of telling us we live in a beautiful world. So those are the beautiful flowers. So that is the MD of the South African delegation there, Jackie Goliath. Behind there is mostly Western Cape fynbos. That's proteas mostly that you see. There's quite a diverse line of flowers in the fynbos. But they got the gold medal again, and also the best exhibition in the Grand Pavilion. So it's the 34th time since 1976 that South Africa got a gold medal there. So that's some of the other exhibits there, or that is still the South African one with the proteas. So well done to them. Proudly South African, proudly Western Cape. So we make the world happy. And just for figures wise, South Africa export about 982 million rand worth of flowers internationally, and 98 million dried flowers. So quite a big business. But we've got some of the most beautiful flowers in the world in South Africa, and specifically in the Western Cape. So we're very proud of that. And
I can definitely tell you, Arrie, that heading towards my wedding, I contributed to that 921 million. I'm just saying, I won't tell you the amount. Thank you very much for bringing us the news stories from South Africa.
Yes, and looking forward to talk next week, Wednesday, election day. So we'll give more information then. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
All right, let's take a look at our weather predictions before we return with economic news.
All right, let's get into our economic news stories quite quickly. EDM aims to guarantee access to electricity. This is for more than 1.5 million families by 2030 within the scope of the Mozambican government's Universal Access to Energy program, and also contribute to boosting national industrialization as well as consolidating Mozambique's position as a regional energy hub in the Southern African region. Now, construction of the project began in March 2022, including a transport line to the province of Maputo with a length of 563 kilometers.
In our next story, internet fraudsters have opened a fraud academy in Makurdi, the capital city of Benue State. The Commissioner of Police in the state, Hassan Yabanet, disclosed this on Tuesday as he paraded 35 suspects arrested for various offenses. The police boss said that a detachment of detectives was detailed to ascertain the fraud academy, which is located at Jerome Hawande Street, Ankapa Quarters, Makurdi. He said the fraud academy and operations of internet fraudsters took place in Makurdi at Jerome Hawande Street, Ankapa Quarters.
All right, those have been our economic news stories. Let's head over to the indicators just before Arrie swings back for the sport.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with golf news first from the ladies PGA, and that's world number 1, Nelly Korda. She reaffirmed the world number 1 ranking. She won the America's Open quite comfortably, or by 14 under par. She actually won it by 1 shot over Hannah Green of Australia, but significant in that it is a 6th win in 7 tournaments that she started, so she's dominating women's golf at the moment. It's a good form that she's showing leading up to the US Open, the women's US Open that will start on the 30th of May. That tournament will be played at the Lancaster Golf Club, and it was Nelly Korda that with a win in the America's Open won her 14th LPGA title. Moving on to soccer news, and the Premier League is done. Manchester City champions, of course, and the news currently is with Liverpool. Liverpool losing their coach, that is Jurgen Klopp, that earlier in the year said that he will be finishing his coaching commitment with Liverpool. So it's been confirmed he's replaced by Arne Slot, and he's from the Netherlands. He used to coach Feyenoord, so a deal was struck with Feyenoord by Liverpool. There was a transfer of 9.4 million euros for Arne Slot to be the new coach. So the 45-year-old Slot will have a 3-year contract starting on the 1st of June with Liverpool. Also news from Liverpool is that Mo Salah is not confirmed to be a player that will stay with Liverpool. It is again the Saudi Arabian Pro League, the team Al Ittihad, that is trying to get his services for the next season. Last year, Liverpool rejected an offer of 150 million euros for Mo Salah, but it's been told that the club in Saudi Arabia again want to make an offer for Mo Salah, the striker from Egypt. And to close off today's international sports news, it is tennis news. There's a WTA women's tournament being played at the moment in Strasbourg, and that is leading up to the French Open that will start this coming weekend. And on the women's side of the WTA in the tournament in Strasbourg, it is Magda Linette that beat Sora Kretia 7-5, 7-5 to advance to the second round. And then it was not good news for American Sloane Stephens. She's one of the profile players in the tournament, and she lost to Magdalena French in 2 sets. And then better news for Elena Svitolina. She beat Diane Perry by 6-3 and 6-4. So that's all on clay. That is the international de Strasbourg tournament on the WTA women's tournament, and Roland Garros starting this coming Sunday. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day. We talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
Thank you for staying with Africa. Good morning. Let's have a look at the highlights. West Health MEC must pay 17.2 million rand to a Zimbabwean woman after her child developed cerebral palsy. And SA truckers strike contained as Ramatlaba border reopens.
And with that, we've come to the end of the broadcast. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Wednesday morning. From me, Glenn Rashipura.
And me, Ashwin Berry Suraja Kanaka.